Hi guys, Sandy Ingram here. Welcome. In today's video, we will discuss the code the Prime Minister of Iraq is using in his speeches to tell us what is happening with the currency. But first, if you want to understand the code, which is banker's language, then join the channel's membership, where we learn how developing countries increase the value of their currency.
Why is banking reform so important in Iraq? Why does the Prime Minister keep meeting with international players in the banking industry, aka JP Morgan? When in Washington, D.C., he met with the chair of the governing board of the JP Morgan Development Finance Institution, DFI, Daniel Zelikow. Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani received Mr. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, and his accompanying delegation on Wednesday during his visit to the Washington, D.C. In Davos, Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani met with Mr. Khaled Haballah, the regional CEO of JP Morgan Chase, for the Middle East and North Africa. Before we explain one side of the banking reform, listen to the report card the IMF International Monetary Fund gave Iraq in early March of 2024. Economic growth is projected to continue amid fiscal expansion. Meanwhile, medium-term vulnerabilities to oil price volatility have increased significantly. Reducing oil dependence and ensuring fiscal sustainability while protecting critical social and investment spending will require a significant fiscal adjustment focused on controlling the public wage bill and increasing non-oil tax revenues. In parallel, higher economic growth will be needed to absorb the rapidly expanding labor force, boost non-oil exports, and broaden the tax base. The authorities should therefore seek to enable private sector development, including through labor market reforms, modernization of the financial sector, and restructuring of state-owned banks, pension and electricity sector reforms, and continued efforts to improve governance and reduce corruption. You are encouraged to read the entire report. The link to the IMF detailed report is in the description. Now for banking reform.
You understand how the United States has a solid process to collect taxes, to catch tax cheaters, and to manage the cash flow between tax collections and government spending. That is one phase of finances that many developing countries still need to have in place. Americans complain about taxes in spite of the government collecting over 4.7 trillion. That is 4.7 trillion US dollars in 2023. Working and paying a percentage of your wages to the US government keeps America's cash flow going. Your employers pays the US government high penalties if the taxes taken from your payroll check are not paid quarterly or monthly. Now ask yourself, who is the middleman for collecting $4.7 trillion? That's right, it is the banks. Within America, the banking systems talk to each other every second of every day. In order for banks to be able to speak to one another electronically, they must all be on the same system.
Thus, you have Iraq, a small country that has never had such a system. It takes time to build such systems and for banks in Iraq to be able to talk to banks in China, Europe, or North America. This is one of the thin lines that distinguishes developed and undeveloped countries. America owes it to Iraq to bring them into the current status quo. Over half of the corruption that has occurred in Iraq could not happen in the United States without someone getting caught because of the check and balance systems. Banking reform in Iraq will bring Iraqi banking systems up to international standards. This must happen before there can be talk of increasing the value of the currency.